Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new video. So I hope that this one can be pretty short, but there is a lot on the Somali news front that I think me and you need to kind of talk about here, right? So it's really ironic actually because some people felt that I was being too positive about Somalia in my videos. While other people, alhamdulillah, did give me some pretty wonderful feedback, and I love to hear from you guys all of the thoughts that you guys have about moving to Somalia or hijrah, things like that. Alhamdulillah, I really appreciate that. But I do realize that there's kind of this idea of, well, why do you keep talking so positively about Somalia? So let me break that down first, and then let's talk about a couple of new things that
Okay, so the first part, why am I so positive about Somalia? It's not really about being positive specifically about Somalia. I try to promote positivity on my pages. I think we have enough negativity coming out of, news of Somalia, thoughts, reputations, stereotypes of Somalia already that, I want to offset that with some of the realities and the beauties that go unnoticed and unrecognized and should have the same highlights as does the negativity. And so I do try to be positive about Somalia, but again, I like to be positive just about all of my experiences on this channel, my travel experiences. I do talk about, kind of the dull times, but even with that, I want to kind of be more positive with it, put a more positive spin with it. So if you have been following me, you would notice that I have posted positivity coming out of Kenya, Kuwait, Somalia, many of the places that I've been, I try to be or try to portray a more positive side of it. And then if you guys want to see what you may call reality, it's like, okay, you can always ask me questions or you can share. But for the most part, I try to preserve a certain positive identity rather than diving always into the negative. Although I do that sometimes as well. So if you have been following me, you will see that I do post what some may call negatives or the realities of a specific place. So speaking of negatives, what are some of the negatives of living in Somalia? Before I do that, I would like to send a huge congratulations to Somalia and the Somali President Sheikh Hassan, who have conducted the first completely free, open, democratic local council elections in 60 years. This is a huge feat, and it shows how much the president is progressing in the efforts and care put towards developing Somalia as an international, not just a local identity of development and peace, but an international blueprint of survival, resilience, and peace. It has not really been recognized how much Somalia and the Somali people are really putting their heads together. Diaspora coming back home, government making regulations and legislations, local people building up their educational system so that they can contribute back into the country. Their efforts have gone truly unrecognized in everyone's collective efforts to really build up the country, to forgetting or moving past, its bloody past, into something that is international, productive for its youth in the future. And I pray, inshallah, that it continues to put in those efforts. Of course, it's not perfect yet, but I can see that the people are really trying to bring it there. And I really hope that their efforts pay off, inshallah, and that the country can continue to move into a positive position. Of course, it is constant threats of security. There is certain instability, economic instability. There is still infrastructure instability, okay? Things that you're going to find difficult with the internet, with the electricity, or roads, road blockage, or, plumbing, the water blockage in the roads, it's not going well into the road. You will find those issues, okay? Just as you find in much of Africa, you'll still find those developmental issues here. But like I said, I have mentioned them, but I don't dwell on it, and I rather not dwell on those parts. I will highlight it, but I won't dwell on it. I do see the efforts and the trying, and again, the recent local elections had everyone holding their breath because we didn't know what was going to come out of it. But the people came in crowds, 60,000 people voting collectively, one person, one vote, everyone putting in their voice. And even so much so that at first the opposition said that they weren't even going to recognize this election, but they came together, put their minds together, and really started to work together towards brotherliness and Somali unification. And if that's not something to acknowledge, then I don't know. Likewise, on the other hand, we have the northern part of Somalia, the self-proclaimed independent nation Somaliland, where I used to live, and I have very fond memories of this place. I love it. You have my kids that were born there. My entire life changed there, so I will never be able to leave Somaliland behind in my heart. However, news from Somaliland has really shaken the world with their recent recognition from Zayos. As we're gonna say, and they were very proud of this news and even celebrated it to the point that they don't want to hear anything negative about this move. I'm not going to dwell on that either. I'm not going to dive into it. I'm not getting into the politics of, the states or anything. I don't want to get into that. However, I do want to address a couple things. So first, they said that they have a right to do so because of the G word that they faced about 30 plus years ago. First, I would like to say that what I realize is that many Somalilanders have ignored the equal suffering of the Somali Civil War for people in the South as well. And they tend to seem to forget that people in the South were also murdered during this time. So while the Somalilanders had a death toll rate of 50,000 to 200,000 people, Southern Somalis had a death toll rate of 20,000 to 100,000 people. Is that something really worth ignoring? It's kind of a slap in the face. So it's kind of a slap in the face when they say, okay, well, Somali ignores our G word, and then equally you're ignoring all of those who have suffered and lost loved ones. Is that really nice? Yet in the meantime, the idea is to move forward. Is not to continue to talk about the past or to even make decisions based on the past. It's about moving forward. And it's not about being stuck in nationalism and qabilism, clans, because that is how the mind gets to be cloudy. It's not, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't create us in different tribes and nations so that we can compete against one another, so that we can turn against one another, so that we can see one better than the other, or so that we can look down on the other, or so that we can turn against the opposition of our brothers, those whose hands are still stained with the blood of children. That is not why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us into our clans, our colors, our languages. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us into different tribes and nations so that we could get to know one another, so that we can come close together upon haqq and upon taqwa, so that we can come together upon remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that we can come together not upon this materialistic wealth of the dunya, but upon remembrance of the akhirah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us into different tribes and clans and languages and people so that we as Muslims could be brothers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to hold on to the rope of Allah together and do not be divided. So what are we doing? Why are we choosing to be divided? Or does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's words not matter anymore? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us not to take the Jews and the Christians as our friends and our helpers, that they will never truly be happy with us. Or does that not matter anymore? Is the Quran not true anymore? Does the Quran not matter because of a G that happened 30 plus years ago? Or does the Quran not matter anymore because we want what we want and we don't care about what anyone else has to say? I don't know. I'm not going to dwell into it anymore, but maybe it's something we have to think about. Are we truly living our lives like we're Muslim, or are we only saying we're Muslim? I think that's something that we have to think about, not only as nations, but even as individuals. And it's something that I think I have to think about even for myself, which is why I am really rethinking even how I operate my channel and whether I can do something even better with this channel, inshallah. So I would love to hear from you. We have to come together, inshallah, and not on politics. I don't want to hear about that. But I want to hear how we can better ourselves, inshallah, as Muslims and as humans, as moral people, men, women, and children, inshallah, and how I can better myself. And if I said something wrong or offensive, then I apologize for that. My heart goes out to everyone, inshallah. I love all people, mashallah, and I hope that you guys can get the most out of this channel, inshallah. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Please remember to give me a like, comment, and share. Assalamu alaikum.